What if one question, just a single daring sentence, was enough to stop the world's most famous dreamer in his tracks? Not a question about rockets, not about Tesla, Twitter, or Mars, but something far more personal. That's exactly what happened when a young journalist, desperate to make her mark, sat across from Elon Musk and asked the one thing nobody else dared to say. What are you looking for in your next wife? The room went quiet. For a man known for engineering rockets, electric cars, and entire futures, this wasn't a question he could answer with charts or calculations. This was a question that cut deeper, and the answer he gave would change both of their lives forever. Because what started as a bold interview quickly turned into something much more, a story of risk, of loneliness, of impossible dreams, and of an unexpected connection that nobody saw coming. But here's the thing, this wasn't just about Elon Musk. This was about Mary Chun, a reporter nobody knew, who walked into that interview thinking she had 30 minutes, and walked out with a story that would make headlines around the world. And it all began with one dangerous question. Mary Chun was 26, sitting in a cramped Austin apartment with pizza boxes stacked on her desk and her roommate's cat knocking over pens. Tomorrow was the biggest day of her career, a 30-minute interview with Elon Musk, the man everyone admired, hated, or couldn't stop talking about. She opened her laptop, typed interview questions. Elon Musk at the top of the page, and froze. What could she possibly ask that hadn't been asked 1,000 times before? How's Mars going? What's next for Tesla? Why Twitter? He'd heard it all. Probably answered those questions in his sleep. That's when she remembered something her grandmother always told her. The most interesting stories come from the heart, not the head. People want to know what makes someone human. So instead of writing another question about rockets, Mary typed something no journalist had ever dared to ask. What are you looking for in your next wife? Her roommate nearly dropped her spoon of ice cream when she saw it. You can't ask that, she laughed. But Mary's heart was pounding. It was bold, risky, maybe even career-ending. But it was real. And the crazy part? When Musk's office reviewed her list, instead of shutting it down, they approved it. He called her question refreshingly honest. Mary didn't know it yet, but that single line would do more than grab headlines. It would open a door into Elon Musk's private world, one that no reporter had ever been allowed to enter. But asking the impossible question was only the beginning. What came next would shock even her. The next morning, Mary drove her old Honda down the Texas highway, hands shaking on the steering wheel. 2 hours stood between her and SpaceX's launch facility, and with every mile, her nerves grew louder. This wasn't just an interview anymore, it was a test. When she arrived, she was met by the chaos of a rocket launch day. Engineers rushing with tablets in hand, countdowns echoing over loudspeakers, families gathered in the viewing area with kids on their shoulders. And at the center of it all, Elon Musk. Taller than she expected, messy hair, tired eyes, but eyes that lit up when he spoke. They shook hands. "Thank you for meeting me, Mr. Musk." "Call me Elon," he said with a half smile. "And thank you for asking questions worth answering." As they walked past the towering rocket, Mary's recorder in hand, she took a breath and dropped the question. What are you looking for in your next wife? For the first time all day, the man who talked casually about colonizing Mars froze. His silence stretched so long, Mary thought she'd ruined everything. Then softly he answered, someone who understands that dreaming big means failing often. Someone who won't give up when the rockets explode. It wasn't the CEO speaking. It wasn't the billionaire inventor. For a moment, it was just a man admitting something real, something raw. Mary felt the air shift. She wasn't here for a press quote anymore. She was witnessing the truth behind the headlines. And just as the countdown reached its final minutes, Elon looked at her, still holding her gaze as the rocket thundered into the sky. He didn't let go of her hand. The launch was a success, but what really took off that day wasn't just a rocket. The rocket roared into the sky, leaving a trail of fire and smoke that had the crowd cheering. Engineers hugged each other. Families clapped. Cameras flashed, but Mary barely noticed. She was watching Elon. For the first time since she'd met him, he wasn't the restless genius carrying the weight of the world. He looked happy, and when he realized he was still holding Mary's hand, he didn't let go right away. He just smiled at her, like she'd somehow seen through all the noise and found the man beneath it. That night, Mary sat at her desk, her recorder full of answers most reporters would kill for. But instead of writing, she stared at her phone. It buzzed. An unknown number. Elon, thanks for today. Coffee tomorrow? Want to finish our conversation? Her heart stopped. Elon Musk wasn't just giving her quotes. He was texting her. Mary told herself it was nothing more than professional courtesy. But when she walked into that tiny Austin coffee shop the next afternoon, jeans and a nervous smile, and saw Elon Musk sitting there in a black t-shirt and messy hair, waiting for her like it was the most normal thing in the world, she knew this was no ordinary follow-up. The world saw Elon as the man reaching for Mars. But Mary was about to discover what he was really searching for, and it had nothing to do with space. But stepping beyond the interview meant stepping into dangerous territory. And once word got out, the story would explode far bigger than any rocket. At first, their meetings felt almost secret. Small cafes, quiet corners, late-night conversations about books and childhood memories instead of rockets and Mars. Elon would laugh about growing up a weird kid in South Africa, while Mary confessed her dream of building schools for kids whose parents worked 2 jobs. For Mary, it felt surreal. Here she was, sipping coffee across from a man who'd been on magazine covers and late-night shows, a man billions of people knew. But in those moments, he wasn't Elon Musk the mogul. He was just Elon. But secrets don't last long in the spotlight. The first blurry photo surfaced online. Mary walking out of a cafe with Elon, then another of them driving through Austin. And within days, rumors spread like wildfire. Headlines exploded. Musk's mystery woman. Journalist or girlfriend? Her editor pulled her aside. Mary, this looks bad. Dating your interview subject? It could ruin your career before it even starts. Paparazzi started lurking near her apartment. Strangers on the internet dissected her life. The same world that had once ignored her stories now wanted to know everything about her. And yet, when Mary looked across the table at Elon, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, heard the quiet honesty in his voice when he said, "I just want someone who understands why I can't stop chasing impossible things," she couldn't walk away. Because the truth was, Mary was already falling for the man behind the headlines, even as the headlines threatened to destroy her. But if the attention was hard now, what came next would push them both to the breaking point. The next launch was supposed to be history in the making. Starship, the rocket that would one day take people to Mars. Cameras were ready. Investors were watching. The entire world was waiting. But in the final minutes of countdown, alarms blared. Engineers scrambled. Fuel leak detected. A voice crackled over the comms. And then, the words no one wanted to hear. Abort launch. The crowd groaned. Stock prices dipped within hours. Twitter erupted with jokes about Musk's Mars dream going up in smoke. Mary pushed past security into mission control. She found Elon standing alone, staring at the massive rocket that had failed him. His shoulders were heavy, his eyes hollow. 3 years of work, he whispered, and we couldn't even get off the ground. She tried to reassure him. It's one test, Elon. You'll fix it. It's not just one test, he snapped. Then softer. It's investor trust. It's my team's faith. It's the future of humanity. And what if I'm just not enough? For the first time, the man who carried the dreams of millions let the mask slip completely. Tears filled his eyes. Right there, in front of his entire team, Elon Musk broke down. Mary didn't care about cameras or whispers. She stepped forward, wrapped her arms around him, and whispered, "It's okay. Rockets are allowed to have bad days, too." He held on to her like she was the only solid thing left in his collapsing world. And in that moment, surrounded by engineers, screens, and the chaos of failure, Elon Musk wasn't the billionaire genius anymore. He was just a man, tired, scared, and desperate for someone to remind him he didn't have to carry it all alone. That night, between tears and silence, Elon said the words Mary never expected to hear. "I love you." And she whispered back, "I love you too." But love born in crisis is fragile. Because if rockets could fail, what about them? And soon, Mary would face a choice even harder than Elon's rocket launches. A choice between the career she dreamed of her whole life and the love she never saw coming. Just days after the failed launch, Mary's phone rang with a call she had been waiting for her whole career. A senior editor from a national magazine offered her a dream position, tech correspondent in San Francisco. Big stories, global reach, the kind of platform she'd once thought was impossible. It was everything she had worked for, everything she had sacrificed for, everything her grandmother had always encouraged her to chase. But there was a catch. Taking the job meant moving away. It meant strict rules about journalistic ethics, rules that would make a relationship with Elon impossible. When she told him about the offer, Elon went quiet. Finally, he said, "You should take it. It's your dream. Don't throw it away for me." Mary felt her chest tighten. "What about us?" Elon's voice was low. "I've been married twice. I know what happens when someone tries to love me. I work too much. I miss birthdays. I forget anniversaries. I live inside rocket hangars. You deserve better than a man obsessed with Mars." Tears burned in Mary's eyes. "Maybe I don't want better. Maybe I want you." But Elon shook his head. "Someday, you'll realize I'm not worth giving up your dreams for. And I'd rather lose you now than watch you resent me later." That night, Mary called her grandmother. Through the phone, Grandma Rose's voice was steady, gentle, but firm. "Honey, dreams are important, but love is rare. Only you can decide what you can live without." Mary sat alone in the park, watching couples walk dogs, parents push strollers, people living simple, ordinary lives. And she realized she couldn't have both. She would have to choose her lifelong dream of journalism or the man who had unexpectedly captured her heart. And as Elon prepared for his most important launch yet, Mary prepared to make the hardest decision of her life. Launch day. The world was watching again. Cameras lined the viewing area. Reporters filled every seat, and Elon stood in mission control, his face calm but his hands clenched tight behind his back. This was it, the test that could make or break his Mars dream. But Elon didn't know that somewhere in the crowd, Mary had just arrived. She'd turned down the San Francisco job that morning. She couldn't explain it fully to anyone, not even to herself. She only knew that while dream jobs might come again, love like this didn't. The countdown began. T-minus 10 minutes. Engineers called out final checks. Mary pushed through the crowd until she found a spot by the glass, where she could see Elon's profile lit by the glow of computer screens. He hadn't spotted her yet. 5 minutes. The tension in the air was electric. The last launch had ended in failure. This one had to work. 1 minute. Mary's heart pounded. She whispered a prayer under her breath. "Please, let it fly." Then ignition. Fire, smoke, thunder. The rocket tore itself from the launch pad, climbing higher and higher into the Texas sky. Mary's eyes filled with tears. The rocket didn't falter this time. Stage separation, perfect. Engines steady. Mission control erupted in cheers as the feed confirmed it. Humanity's most ambitious rocket had finally cleared the atmosphere. But Mary wasn't watching the screens. She was watching Elon. His shoulders dropped with relief, his face breaking into a smile so pure it was almost boyish. And when his eyes finally swept across the room and landed on her through glass, his smile changed. Softer, deeper, the kind of smile you save for just one person. In that moment, Mary knew she had made the right choice. She hadn't just chosen him over her dream. She'd chosen their dream. A future where maybe she kept him connected to Earth while he reached for the stars. Because rockets could fail, jobs could end, headlines could fade, but love, the real kind, was worth risking everything for. In the end, it wasn't a rocket launch, a billion-dollar company, or even the dream of reaching Mars that changed everything. It was a single, dangerous question. What are you looking for in your next wife? That one line cut through the noise, stripped away the headlines, and revealed the person behind the empire. A man who was brilliant but lonely, driven but exhausted, and searching for something no invention could create. And Mary? She proved that sometimes the boldest stories aren't about technology or power, but about the human heart. She had the courage to ask what no one else dared, And in doing so, she found more than a headline. She found love. The world may remember Elon Musk for rockets, cars, and visions of Mars. But Mary's story reminds us of something far more universal. No matter how far we reach into the stars, the most impossible journeys often begin here, on Earth, with a connection, a risk, and the courage to follow it. So maybe the lesson isn't about Mars at all. Maybe it's about us. About asking the questions we're too afraid to ask. About taking risks that could change everything. About realizing that even the people who seem larger than life are just as human as the rest of us. Because in the end, it's not always the rockets that take off. It's the stories, the risks, and the hearts that dare to dream together. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit like, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think.